What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. And guess what? Can you smell that? Football is in the air. Football season has commenced with the start of Commanders Training Camp 2025. And you got to tap in with Bleeder BNG to give you live instant updates, live instant reaction from everything coming out of Commanders Training Camp 2025. Before I get too deep into this episode, you already know what I'm going to say. Be sure to comment, be sure to like, be sure to subscribe. On the road to 3,000 subscribers, and I can't do it without your help. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification button so you not miss any of this content. And without further ado, let's get into today's episode. Just giving you a quick recap because a couple of hours ago, the Commanders actually finished their first training camp session, their first official training camp practice. Players reported yesterday. That's where it was reported that Terry McLaurin did not show up. But when they reported yesterday, they only had their conditioning test. There weren't any reports of anybody failing the conditioning test of the day of Albert Hainsworth and the Mike Shanahan days. I got PTSD from those days. We didn't have any of those, thank God. So today was actually the first official practice of the 2025 NFL season. So I'm excited to give you guys a recap of what I've seen coming from the local beat reporters, because those were the only people that were invited to today's session and actually had eyes on the practice. Now, your boy don't feel right unless he boots on the ground, unless I'm boots on the ground. And I actually will be boots on the ground this Sunday coming up, as well as next Saturday. So I'll be boots on the ground live in Ashburn. So make sure you tap into the page, the YouTube channel, as well as the social media pages to get all of the live updates from Commanders Training Camp 2025. And without further ado, get to the matter at hand, and that's today's practice session. So day one of training camp actually kicked off with a little update, with a little roster update. Before practice and before Dan Quinn had his presser today, it was announced that the Commanders had placed guard Sam Cosmi on the PUP list, which was expected, the physically unable to perform list. That just takes you off of the count of the roster right now. And that's with Sam recovering from that ACL surgery that he suffered during the Detroit Lions in the division of the playoffs. But we had some positive news on the Sam Cosmi front that I'm going to touch on after I mentioned that the Commanders also placed Terry McLaurin on the reserve did not report list. That don't even seem right for the anti-Deebo wide receiver Terry McLaurin to be placed on the reserve. That's an anomaly. That got to be a typo. Like, that has to be a typo. That don't even seem right. But this is where we are in 2025. And the status of the relationship as of right now with the Commanders and Terry McLaurin. But going back to the Sam Cosmi front, Dan Quinn actually mentioned in his presser that we can actually start to touch on that Sam Cosmi is actually ahead of schedule. And somebody came out today and asked him, they said, since he's met all his marks and things of that nature, which Dan Quinn had mentioned in the press conference, they were like, I don't want to put it out there and I don't want to be reaching, but is there a chance that, Sam Cosmi is available for week one of the 2025 NFL season? And Dan Quinn said, yeah, there is a chance. There is a chance. What caught me by surprise, because if you guys can remember that gruesome leg injury that Sam Cosmi suffered in January. He's just becoming 6 months removed from that injury. He's walking with no hitch. There was some filming out of practice today where he was walking with no hitch to kind of go along with everything that Dan Quinn was saying in that presser as well. Now, I know that Dan Quinn is an optimistic guy, and he's rather positive more times than not. So I'll take what he says with a grain of salt just due to the timeline. But I'll be remiss if I didn't mention that Sam Cosmi is a freak athlete. Like, there's a reason why he scored a 10 on his relative athletic score coming out of Texas. And with those freak athletes, not only do they perform differently athletically, but they recover different as well. And it seems as if Sam Cosmi is one of those guys that's just a 6'5", 320-pounder who happens to run a 4.7 and recovers like Wolverine. It seems like Sam Cosmi is just one of those guys. And if that is the case, oh my God, my prospects for the season are jumped even higher I don't know what aspirations you can have higher than Super Bowl, because I already think that we're going to be Super Bowl contenders. If you didn't check out my video where I gave you the 5 reasons why the Commanders will win the Super Bowl, go ahead and check that video out after this one. But like, that just takes the offensive line up another notch. What's the high aspiration in Super Bowl? The greatest team of all time? I don't want to go that far. But listen to this. Listen to this. If we trot out a healthy Sam Cosmi week 1, that means we're projected for a full season. And I know I'm a fool for thinking this because injuries are a part of the NFL. But that's Laramie Tunsil, Brandon Coleman, Tyler Biadasz, Sam Cosmi, and Josh Carnley. That's projected starting offensive line for week 1. From week 1, you can't tell me that's not projected to be a top 5 to 6 offensive line group. And if we build that continuity starting in week 1, like, I think the offensive line position is one of those where like chemistry is matters the most outside of like the wide receiver and the quarterback position. So if we could get Sam Cosmi back in the fold and we could build on that for 18 weeks out of the season, oh my God. I don't really know what else to say, but other than, oh my God, some other notes coming out of Dan Quinn's press conference. He said Dan Quinn on adjusting without Terry McLaurin. It's a part of the business of the NFL. I don't judge it or get too worked up about it. I know Adam and his team, they're working as hard as they can with Terry. This happens on teams all over. So the longer you've been in it, the more you understand it. And that's interesting to hear from Dan. Nikki Javala actually tweeted that because I thought that Dan didn't say too much on the Terry McLaurin situation yesterday. And I don't know if that's because he didn't want to say too much, or is it, that, he was giving hints. He was hinted at or prompted to not say too much by Adam Peters before the press conference. But as I said yesterday, I don't think that Adam Peters talked with a lot of conviction and confidence talking about Terry McLaurin. And, I'm not saying that it's relationships in a dire state or anything like that. But hearing Dan Quinn, who, didn't say much yesterday, and I thought that was a stark contrast to what he was saying early in the offseason about, I talk to Terry McLaurin on the phone every day, right? And even now, like, these sentiments don't ring off as hard as that. So I don't know. It seems like we're losing confidence by the day in the glory of the Terry McLaurin and the Commanders relationship. Dan Quinn on the same thing. What else came out of Commanders training camp today? Let's get to some on-field stuff. Dan Quinn actually talked about Von Miller. Yeah, Von Miller is a different player than he was at 25, 26. With experience comes more wisdom. Now he's able to share thoughts and ideas. I like the fresh ideas, fresh thoughts, but their first job is to get acclimated to the team and find their rhythm. It takes a minute. Exactly. The same that I talked about in our episode where we talked about the Commanders signing Von Miller. Von Miller was brought in for December, January, and February to play in big-time games and the run of the passer on 3rd and 11 in the NFC Championship game. Now, anything that he buys more than that is a plus. But one of the things Von Miller is going to be able to do is help the other rushers on the team who don't have as high of a cachet or don't have as much status in the league, like a Javonte Jean-Baptiste. Shoot, even a Dorrance Armstrong and a Dietrich Wise teach them, the thing that he's learned over the course of his year NFL career. I saw a stat that said that the Buffalo Bills had 20 sacks when Von Miller was on the field last season. His 6 sacks included in that number, but that means that like he's rushing with integrity. He's not getting outside of gaps and things of that nature to try to chase sacks. And he just has the pass rushing nuance that isn't taught. Like that's something that just comes second nature to Von Miller. Dan Quinn said he felt like in training camp there are 3 positions: offensive line, defensive line, running back, that can be truly evaluated because of that physical aspect of play. And that's interesting because we have rebound trenches on both sides of the ball. And then I think if anybody knows how I feel about the running back position, I think that position is up for the taking. So it's interesting that he pointed out those positions as points of emphasis. Noah Brown did not practice today. He will join practices off to the side. He won't participate in anything as of right now, but he's using it as a bit of a wrap-up period. He's coming off of his injury from the mandatory OTAs minicamp session, and there wasn't any news that came out of it which led me to believe that it wasn't season-ending or serious or things of that nature. But this shows that he's still suffering from the remnants of it, or at least still recovering and isn't yet 100% to get acclimated into training camp. What else? What else? There you go. There you go. Look at him. Look at him. Football season back. Y'all know I'm back getting for Jayden. Y'all know I'm back getting for Jayden. Football season back. It is what it is. Call me what you want. You're going to call me a champion at the end of this year. The Commanders signed a wide receiver, Tay Martin. Wide receiver with initials TM. The wrong one. Not the one that we were all thinking of, though. Austin Eckler and Brian Robinson taking the field. JP Finley posted that. Terry McLaurin was actually spotted in, I don't know if this was Ashburn. Where did they say? He was spotted in Virginia, in alias as Virginia, as doing yoga today. So he's taking this in stride, getting his zen in what can be a rather stressful situation, negotiating a contract. Look at him. Laramie Tunsil at work, individuals, mountain of a man. Mountain of a man, Laramie Tunsil. I'm excited about Laramie Tunsil. I am. I think he was getting an appropriate amount of hype when we first traded for him. And then, I think we just kind of like started to forget about him. But Laramie Tunsil is a stud. And if he can just provide an extra half a second for Jayden Daniels, I don't know. How can I skip over the guy? How can I skip over that man? Hey, y'all know how I feel about the Golden Boy 5. And, he got all the aura in the world. But this is the originator of the aura. This is the originator of drip. Bagman Cliff. Don't take my nickname. That's Bagman Cliff. Don't take my nickname. That's Bagman Cliff. Jayden playing one of the games that he made quite popular last season, throwing the ball into the net. And I don't think he missed. Got used to that last season. Zach Ertz in one-on-ones. What else have we missed? What else did we miss? Nick Allegretti going through one-on-ones. He's going to be in an interesting camp battle because if Sam Cosmi isn't available for week 1 of camp, who's going to take over that right guard spot until he is? Is it going to be Nick Allegretti? Is it going to be Nate Ervig? Is it going to be Andrew Wiley? Future Von Miller at work. Future Hall of Famer Von Miller at work. Look at him. Look at him. I know he the ripe old age of 96, but like Von Miller rushed the passes in his sleep. Oh, there he is. There he is. Is my damn video going to load? No, we ain't worried about that. But that's the Golden Boy. Year 2 for the Golden Boy. Back on deck. Laramie Tunsil working again. All right. So what was they talking? What were we talking about? The on-field drills. Let's see, where did we start to talk about the on-field drills? Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. So Josh Connors working with the second team in the offensive line. So they're bringing him along like they brought on Jayden Daniels. Jayden Daniels didn't start training camp with the ones last season. Brandon Coleman didn't start training camp with the ones last season. Shit, you can remember Brandon Coleman was rotating during the beginning of the regular season with what's my man's name? Cornelius Lucas. But this seemed to be the highlight of the day. There hasn't been any film of it yet, but they was glazing this throw. Nicky Javala, John Kime, Ben Standing. Our starting offensive line was Laramie Tunsil, Brandon Coleman, Tyler Biotis, Nick Allegretti, and Andrew Wiley. But the highlight of the day, Jayden Daniels' first pass. His first pass at training camp. He dropped it over the show down to Deebo Samuel on the slot fade. Tyler Owens was right there in coverage. And Tyler Owens was actually with the ones today on defense. Go back and look at my video. I told you the Commanders were going to unlock that demon in 2025. Black Adam strikes again. I don't know who has more foresight than me in the Washington Commander community. It might be people with more subscribers than me, post more videos than me. I don't know if anybody been hitting the nail on the head more than I have in the Washington Commanders community. All the reason why you should be subscribing. But here go the Glaze Fest. Ben Standing. I'm not going to do this every time because my text fingers will bleed. There you go, being all dramatic. But Jayden Daniels won't throw a better pass all camp than the absolute dime to Deebo in the end zone over the shoulder with the corner right there. This was his first pass. Really nice run by Jacoby Krosky Merritt. Juke Ben Nickel on his way to a touchdown. Jeremy Reeves had a pass breakup on Ben Sennett. Ja'Cory Brooks with 2 touchdowns on 7-7, one from Dames and another from Mariota. Lake Lewis actually mentioned that he beat Marshawn Lattimore on one of those touchdowns. So Ja'Cory Brooks making an impression in the first day of camp. Undrafted free agent from Louisville and Alabama. And I like Ja'Cory Brooks. He tested poorly, and I think that's why he ultimately went undrafted. But as far as like having just natural receiving instincts and things of that nature, knowing how to stem guys, knowing how to stack guys, having releases off the ball, Ja'Cory Brooks he has all of that. He has all of that. Man, Javon Kinlaw just had a nasty bull rush on Brandon Coleman. Everybody been talking about how Javon Kinlaw big as shit. Everybody talking about how Javon Kinlaw putting it on display on the 55 seconds of Jayden Daniels. And I think that'll be it from the on-field stuff. Will Harris had a near pick on Marcus Mariota. Then Jayden Daniels went to the podium and actually spoke. He said he was focused on footwork and control within the pocket this offseason. He tried to put himself in different situations to keep his eyes forward. And I thought that was the only thing that Jayden Daniels could work on and make a vast improvement on. Now, he can work on different aspects of his game and touch up on things of that nature. But, you know, the thing that I thought he can make big improvements on was the footwork. So I'm glad to hear that he noticed that too. Jayden on Terry McLaurin. It's just a business in the NFL. We know that Terry's working. We don't have to worry about him doing any of that. But at the end of the day, he's still our brother. And he had a quote that on Terry that I want to touch on. But first, he talked about Deebo and building chemistry. It starts off the field and get to know how he works and the player he is. And, you know, they talked about the pass that he opened up camp with. There it is. That's the quote that I love. And it just talks about the cerebral Jayden and confidence that he has in himself. Jayden Daniels will start in camp without his top target in Terry McLaurin. Whenever that's back and he's back on the field, I don't think we'll miss a beat. So that's the confidence he has in not only himself, but the chemistry that he's built in just one season with Terry McLaurin, and the confidence that he has Terry McLaurin, and the confidence that he has that the two sides are going to come to it and get it done. That could be a little bit of athletic arrogance, but I love that quote. I think Bobby Wagner actually talked as well. Deebo Samuel at work. Bobby Wagner said Jordan McGee is a guy everyone is watching. You can see McGee get comfortable and confident within the system. Is Jordan McGee? I told you last year about Jordan McGee. Then he got hurt. So I don't want to say that it's fool's gold, but I just hope that Jordan McGee has a healthy offseason and that he's healthy going into September, because I think a healthy Jordan McGee is going to be a contributor. Downhill thumper out of the University of Temple. And a guy that has a lot of range sideline to sideline. Bobby Wagner and Jayden Daniels, he had a really good season last year, but he's definitely not satisfied. Bobby Wagner talking now how excited he is to play with Von Miller. His work after you get to see how he works every single day. They actually played with the Rams in 2022, and I just hope that they have a better outcome than they did then, because that didn't end well for that Rams defense at all. Like, guys start losing their jobs and everything. Bobby Wagner, I just want to push to be great. My job is to push this as far as I can and take it and pass down my knowledge. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons why Adam Peters is bringing in all of these veterans to get them acclimated and to teach these young guys how to win. right? There's a reason why Mario is paired with a Jayden Daniels, right? There's a reason why is paired with a Javonte Jean-Baptiste and all these other Dorrance Armstrong and things of that nature. There's a reason why Marshawn Lattimore is paired with Trey Amos, because these are guys that can still contribute while passing that football knowledge and, the football lineage down to their teammates. And that's how you get a consistent, contender and a consistent organization that's producing year in and year out. But I think that's it. I think that's it for day one of training camp. I'm super excited. Remember, tap the BNG so you're not missing any other content. We do this for every day, especially the days when I'm boosting the ground, because we don't need the tweets. We just want to go from leading BNG's POV, and I don't wear the burgundy and gold lenses. I give you the most raw cut and unfiltered analysis on your Washington Commanders, and I promise to keep giving it to you. And I'll check in on you on the flip side. Peace.